And a good day to you, Explorer Nation. John Lynskey here with an extra special, super deluxe version of Looking Back with Lynskey. We're not even going to number this one. It's a standalone. To my right, your left, of course, is the venerable one, Dr. E. Carter Burrus, Jr. And if you went to school here through all those decades when he was teaching Florida history, you're in for a treat. And if you weren't, you're still in for a treat, because you're going to hear, once again, or for the first time, the great milk truck adventure story. Yes, head out on the highway, on the road, Jack Kerouac style, the summer of 1965. A lot was happening in this country. And Carter Burrus, you were right in the middle of it, and I can't wait to hear this story one more time. Welcome, my good friend.
Thank you, thank you. And it is a story and an adventure, something that has had a great impact throughout my life. And do you want me to tell a little bit of the background of that, John?
You know, the past has prologued everything, Dr. Burrus, so go ahead and give everybody the backstory here.
Well, this story is about three Columbus youths, three Columbus lads, that at some point in 1965 had decided that we want to go and travel around the country and visit different locations, our friends in different places, and also maybe visit a few higher institutions of learning around the United States that we knew about. And we're certainly going to do that. And the way we're going to do this traveling is in a milk truck. And later on, we're going to tell you a little bit about what a milk truck is, in case you don't know, because a lot of you younger people may not even know what a milk truck is.
Yeah, past times.
But there's a picture right there that you can look at that has a picture of me striking a very impressive pose in front of the milk truck with a red racing stripe and the luggage carrier on the top. And trust me, yes, that is a jealousy window, a flap-out jealousy window on the front that we'll be telling you a little bit more about.
This is going to be quite an adventure. But before we get to 1965, you graduated from this fine institution in 1962.
Yes, it seems like only yesterday.
Only yesterday, but as we sit in this fine new building, the CCNN studios, we've come a long way. Take us back to 1962 for just a moment, Dr. Burrus.
Okay.
What was it like to be at Columbus High School?
1962, first of all, Bird Road was two lanes. 87th Avenue, 2 lanes. Westchester was predominantly Jewish.
Yes.
A Jewish community enclave.
Yes.
That's hard to believe. And it was a kind of a rough and tumble school in the very beginning. It started off with just seniors, juniors, and sophomores. There was no freshman class, the first class. And there was no gym. There was no football field. And when you came here, you came to Columbus, you better have your jock strapped on, because you were in for an excitement. That first year, the Marist brothers were not here. The very next year, 1959, the Marist brothers took over the school. That was my first introduction to the Marist brothers. And that's when we had a freshman year and we had a full contingent of Columbus students. My class was the 4th graduating class.
Something to be very proud of.
Yeah.
And you know, while we're talking about no football field and no gym and, you know, the wildlife that used to abound here, there is one object that still remains from those golden years, the perpetual oak, which is now named for you. A few months ago we did that. If that oak tree could talk.
It could tell a lot of stories, and that is the only existing foliage, fauna that was left here when the building of the school. That sacred oak tree, as I like to call it. But let's go to the next slide, and I'll show you what Columbus looked like a little bit.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, there we are. There was no Moss building.
No.
And every morning, a group of students would go out in front of, that's B building, and they would raise the American flag, and they would stand out there and salute the American flag. That's what Columbus looked like. It basically was A building, B building, there was no St. Brendan's Church. C building was a residence hall for seminarians.
Yes.
Seminarians? What is a seminarian? Seminarian is someone who's studying to be a priest, but you're studying in a high school. They don't do that anymore. But they went to school with us and they graduated with us, and I'm proud to say that 2 of those people went on to become priests and are still priests today.
That's wonderful.
And two of them went on to become brothers, and they're no longer with the Maris brothers.
But I love that picture. Right where the Moss building sits today, anybody that went to school back in the day recognizes that balcony up there, the coat and ties you guys wore, no air conditioning, of course.
No air conditioning.
No.
And that building, that room right behind it, that little balcony, that was the brothers' residence.
Yes.
There was no brothers' residence built, and that's where they lived, some of them. All right.
Great photo. Chris?
Let's go to the next one.
Who's that rugged-looking gentleman on the left there?
Here we are. Here are the three lads involved in this milk truck story. Myself on one side, Jack in the middle, and brother Billy on the other. Jack's going to end up going to University of Florida. Billy is going to go to Miami-Dade and go on to other adventures afterwards, and I am going to go to Michigan State.
That's a fine-looking trio right there.
Yeah, look at those buzz cuts. That's something to behold right there.
You guys mean business, clearly.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Chris?
All right,
Oh, here we go.
I'm giving you just a little background about where I came from. This is my family in North Carolina. You can see my grandmother on the right, my grandfather next to him, and assorted uncles and great grandparents in the middle. Notice the little pet goat there, the little girl with the little kitty cat. And this is my background. So when I tell you this story, you're going to say it all makes sense right now.
It's kind of a hard scrabble existence there.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Look at that.
There I am, 3 years old with a bicycle, and there's a story connected with that bicycle, which I could tell at a later date. Let's move on. Okay, this is how we came to school every day. We came to school in the back of this pickup truck. Rain, snow, lightning, all those gentlemen got in the back of that pickup truck and rode to school. You notice that one gentleman right up front, he's got a letter sweater. Yes, Columbus gave out letter sweaters with the CC, two C's linked. That was our letter at the time. And if you got a letter sweater, you were something pretty cool around campus. You'd walk up and down the hallways and with a little bounce in your step.
That's a great photo, and right in front of a building there.
Right, and you can see the royal palm trees in the back, still there.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Young Chris, please. Oh, look at this.
Jimmy's Hurricane, that was another like the hot shops. If you didn't go to the hot shops, you would go to Jimmy's Hurricane. And same deal, they would come up on roller skates. They would offer you something to eat, a milkshake. You always had a milkshake. And then you would just have a good time, just talking with all your friends and hanging out. And this next slide will show you what we thought was going to happen at the hot shops and Jimmy's Hurricane.
Go ahead, Chris.
This is this is how we envisioned what was going to happen. Did it happen that way? Sometimes yes, sometimes most of the time not. But you can see, is that a girl interested in the guy, or does she just want that hamburger? You have to ask yourself that.
You do have to ask yourself that. But hope springs eternal, doesn't it, Dr.
Yes, it
Burrus?
does.
Particularly when you're 17 years old.
That's correct.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris. Oh, boy.
We used to have something here at Columbus, service clubs. There are still some, like the Squires and the Key Club. Well, there was a club that we started here, those same people in the back of the pickup truck. We started something called the Wheel Club, sponsored by Rotary, and it had very good intentions in the beginning. We did a lot of civic things around the school and around the community, but later on, as we graduated, the club fell on some hard times and is no longer with us anymore. The Rotary Club still
define hard times, Dr. Burrus.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got into some disagreements with some other clubs, and you might call it a gang fight or something like that. But you can see these preppy guys here don't look like gang guys, so it was their version of it back in the '60s.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. Young Chris, please. Oh, here you go. Yes, your time on the gridiron.
The two captains of the football team, Jack and myself. You can sit there holding a football. Yeah, proud-looking lads there.
Those poses for the program in the yearbook, those were awesome back then.
We were.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay.
This is an immortal photograph. I think everyone on campus has an autographed copy of this
Well,
photograph.
if they want one, they can get one.
Yes.
It just so happened that in one game that we played, I did pretty well, and they named me. The Miami Herald had something called Teen of the Week. That was me, Teen of the Week. They put your telephone number and address in the paper. They don't do that today.
No, they don't do that.
And there I was, Teen of the Week, and this was my Teen of the Week pose right there.
Now, Dr. Burrus, that jersey, as a matter of fact, is on display.
Yes, it is.
At Our Betters, a national institution in the heart of downtown Westchester. So go have a hot dog and check out Dr. Burrus's jersey there.
That jersey's 61 years old, still at Our Betters, and it looks like it's 61 years old. I can't believe it's still holding together.
It's an amazing photograph. Young Chris, please.
Okay. Our football team wasn't the best football team, but we're Columbus in the very beginning. We may have 30 guys on the team. The other teams had 100.
Yeah.
But we did have the fastest backfield in the county. They had a race of all the backs. They put them in a race at the halftime of the North-South Shrine game, which they don't have anymore, and we won. Thanks to the coaching of John Roach. You'll remember, some will remember him as Brother John.
Yes.
Other people remember him as John Roach. Probably one of the greatest math teachers that ever existed on the face of this earth.
No question.
And you can ask Mr. Ortega about it, you can ask Mr. Morrow, you could ask me, and you could ask you.
Well, except I never got close to Mr. Roach's class, but yes, a legendary math teacher and coach. And again, a moment in time. It's a serious photograph there.
Yeah. And we got the trophy right there.
Yes.
Pretty good. Fastest backfield in the county.
Go ahead, Chris.
There's one of our fast backfield guys, Clyde Atkins. He's no longer with us, but I just thought I'd throw Clyde in there.
Hey, God bless him.
Yeah.
Chris?
This is one of the greatest poses. This is what our field, when it was starting to become a field, you look at it, it looks like scrub grass and things out there. That's the great Jack Ellison, who's no longer with us, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. You can see he's a left-handed guy there. What a pose. I wish we had more poses like that.
Striking a pose like that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when you look at the terrain, the coral rock, the stickers, you know, Everglades, sawgrass, wild animals.
Coyotes, bobcats, armadillos, they're all there.
Yes, yes. I love that pose. Go ahead, Chris.
There I am at the prom. I had to put that prom picture in. I was a striking young lad back in those days. I had hair and everything, and there's my prom date that won't be named. But anyway, we cut a nice figure.
Oh, it's a very dashing couple, no question about that.
You notice the white gloves and the corsage. Yeah, I was a suave, dapper dude.
And I like the whole bow tie thing is pretty cool too, you know? Okay, Chris.
Okay, there are some of the milk truck people at my mom's house, and we're just sitting there talking and sharing a few stories, as we would do.
And no shenanigans, clearly.
No, none. Not many.
Not many. Young Chris, thank you.
Okay.
Oh boy.
We had a hangout.
Yes.
And if you had a fake ID, am I allowed to say that on screen?
Statute of limitations, we're good.
Fake ID. There's a place. This place is located in South Miami. It's a sushi bar now, right before you get to Sunset Place. But back in the 60s, it was called the Ale House. There are people that went in the Ale House that never came out. University of Miami football players were banned from going to the Ale House. That's how badass that place was.
Were you ever banned?
No, I was never banned, but I did frequent the Ale House.
Okay, as long as you weren't banned.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. Here we go. Tell the story.
The original Our Betters located up on Flagler Street, and later on it's going to move to 8th Street, connected with Dairy Queen, until it moved to its present location right here in the heart of Westchester at the headwaters of the Tamiami Canal, where it's been for 45 years. But this is the humble starting of the noble Our Betters hot dog.
World renowned, yes. And I mean, you're an icon there. You have your own hot dog.
I do have my own hot dog.
And there's nothing better than that. What an honor. We're both in the Our Betters Hall of Fame.
Yes, and
very proud of that.
Something I'm very proud of.
Absolutely. Okay, Chris.
There's a picture of Mr. Arbetter,
Where it all began.
the original Mr. Arbetter, king of hot dogs.
Yes. Chris, please. Okay, explain this, Dr.
This is
Burrus.
Billy sitting at his house, and you could tell Billy's going to be going with us, and Billy was somewhat troubled, and you could just sort of tell by the fact that he's got somebody's underwear on his head there, and so you could tell Billy's going to have complications.
He looks disreputable.
But he's going to be an intricate part of our trip.
Well, you need somebody like that on the trip. You need a nefarious person.
Yes.
Go ahead, young Chris, and thank you for your hard work.
That's Billy's cat, Rover. It happened to be a female cat, but
A cat named Rover.
yeah, a cat named Rover.
Well, that explains a lot right there.
Yes, it does.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, it does. Okay, here's the seal of Coral Gables. Now, Coral Gables comes into this because during the summer, Jack had been at college, I'd been at college, Billy had been at college. Let's get summer jobs. This is in the summer of 1964. Okay, what kind of jobs are we going to get? We did everything from construction to ditch digging, everything. This one, we're going to be garbage collectors for the city of Coral Gables. And let me tell you, the city of Coral Gables has mighty fine garbage. Not only do they have pink sidewalks, but they have some of the most interesting garbage that they throw out that a lot of people would like to decorate their homes with. And so we're going to go garbage collecting.
Go ahead, Chris. A beautiful shot
and
there.
There's the Biltmore, we're right next to St. Teresa, where we all went to school. And this was very close to where we're going to be collecting up garbage.
Did you, when you're collecting garbage, did they have like if you found it, you could keep it policy?
Yes. And once you were on the front of the garbage truck and you spotted a garbage pile, you got first dibs on anything in there. Then you had to rotate around, and the next guy, he would get first dibs on what was in there. There were some amazing things thrown away.
Sounds like a fair and equitable system there. Yes.
Complete.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay,
there you are.
There we are collecting garbage. Garbage trucks are different back then. You rode on the back of the truck and you picked up the garbage, was in the back of the house, and put it in there. Today, they got it pretty easy. They drive around the mechanical truck. But this is what it was like then, collecting garbage. Coral Gables garbage was the best garbage in town.
Elite garbage.
Elite.
It's outstanding. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay.
Okay.
One day, driving down Country Club Prado, for those of you people in Coral Gables, and the pink sidewalks, at the corner of Red Road and Coral Way, there's a gas station. There's still a gas station there today. And there, as we're sitting on the truck, we see this yellow truck, a milk truck, right on there with a sign on it that said $100 for a milk truck. Now, you want to know what a milk truck is. Okay, back in the day, picture a farm store that was made into a food truck. Okay, it would come to your house a couple times a week, deliver milk, cheese, eggs, whatever else they carried. Guy had on a white suit, a white hat, and he drove a truck like this, and he delivered it to your house. If you were the first one out there when he delivered it, like at my house with my 4 sisters, and he gave you the chocolate milk, I would scarf down the chocolate milk so fast. Wait a minute, what about your sisters? Sorry, they got to be a little faster if they want the chocolate milk.
That's a great shot, because milk trucks, they went out of style decades ago. They were a fixture of my youth, though. I remember them well, MacArthur Dairy.
And you had one that come by your house.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody had a milkman. You leave the empties out.
Yeah.
It was a different time, Dr. Burrus. So go ahead, Chris. Oh my, it looks like the control panel for a B-17.
Yes, it had a 49.5 horsepower engine with about 15 gears forward and about 10 backward. And he would normally stand up and he would, drive around and then walk up to your house. And everybody knew this guy. Everybody knew the milkman. He was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. So the going price was $100.
$100.
Back then was a fair amount of money now.
It was, but of course we were garbage collectors and we had a payroll, we had a check, and Jack bought the truck and he's going to begin the great adventure.
Okay, young Chris.
Okay.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
one of the first things we put in the truck was they called them a phonograph or a Victrola. They didn't call it a turntable at the time. Like today, you're all not even CDs anymore, not
No,
VHS.
everything's gone back to vinyl.
Not
Full
even
circle.
cassettes.
Full
This was
circle.
33 1/3.
Yes.
We got something called a inverter, and you can plug it into your car, and it turns the electricity from 110 to 12. So we had this with all these records, and we would play it, and that's what it looked like right there.
You got to have a sound system.
We did, and we did have a sound system. That was it. Wait a minute, when you went over a bump, didn't it take that arm and jiggle it around? Yes, it did.
Came with the territory. Yes. Go ahead, Chris. There you go.
This is what the real milkman looked like.
Yes.
White suit, looking right there.
The hat, it makes a statement.
It did.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris.
This is
This is a statement too.
This is what we envisioned was going to be happening on this milk truck journey. This is what we envisioned. Never happened. Never happened.
But it's good to have dreams.
It's dreams are good. Once you lose your dreams, you have nothing.
You got to keep your illusions until they shatter.
Yes.
And that's an illusion, but a nice one.
A very nice one.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, now the summer's over. So long, Jack. So long, Bill. What are you going to do with the milk truck? Well, we're going to take it up to University of Florida and drive it around. You're going back to college, right? Yes. We're going to meet, my brother. We're all Columbus brothers. The brotherhood was there back in the very days of the school.
Always has been.
Okay, we're going back. Then we're going to meet during the summer, and we're going to take a journey. Where are we going to go on this journey? Wherever we want. No goal. Just we're going to travel, enjoy ourselves, and the journey is going to be the adventure. So I went back to school. Jack is going to go back to school. By the way, before we went back to school, we would go out on dates with this milk truck. We could have bonfires out at Key Biscayne. Bonfires on Key Biscayne? Yes. We tore out the whole back of the milk truck, and it was one great big mattress. Of course, it's soft, and you could recline on that mattress, right? Yes. And but when we went over to some young lady's house to pick her up for a date, to go to one of these beach parties, the custom was back then the father would come out and greet you, how you doing? Have my daughter home at this time? This is how it's going to go. Yes, sir. What's this truck here? Oh, that's our means of transportation, sir. Mind if I have a look around? We had a curtain separating where the driver was and the back for obvious reasons. As soon as the father pulled it back and saw this great big mattress in there, you can only imagine the thoughts that are going through his mind. And so we, he would say, I don't think my daughter's going out with you guys tonight. Oh, come on, it's going to be great. I don't think so. Or if he did, I'll be monitoring the entire situation at all times.
Yeah, and you're talking about the greatest generation there, World War II guys that you just weren't going to mess with.
No.
Because they still had their M1s in the house.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
All right, Chris, next one, please.
Okay, I'm up at Michigan State. These are some of my friends that I hung around with up there. And what's good when you go away to college is you meet people from all over the United States.
That's true.
There's one guy from Texas, another guy from a little small town in Michigan, another guy from New York, and me from Florida. There weren't many Floridians up there.
It's cold up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like, quite frankly, a scene from Animal House.
Well,
it does.
Well, not yet, but that's going to happen.
Yes.
We're in Akron, Ohio, staying at the home of a gentleman called Larry Mackey. We called him Mackey by Cracky. And his dad worked at the Goodyear tire factory. And a little known fact, Larry's big claim to fame, and he was a football player too, was that his father worked with the father of Ruby and the Romantics, which was a big popular singing group back in those days. And you probably had never heard of Ruby and the Romantics, but anyway, that was just
a pretty cool claim to fame.
Little topic of conversation.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, there we are out front of our townhouse. We lived in a townhouse sometimes we lived in a fraternity house. Sometimes I lived underneath in the basement of a lady's house called the Bat Cave. And that was really nice. But this person you see in the picture had a girlfriend, and I lived down in the basement. It had multiple levels. And I remember one day she drove her car up, knocked on the door, and told me to go to my basement if I knew what was good for me.
Oh boy.
And she had a look in her eye like I'm going to go down there right now and I'm not going to listen, I'm not going to do anything. She went up to his room, took all his clothes out, put it in the front yard and took her car and ran it over his clothes and then ran the car into the front door. The very next day, there's a note.
You were probably asked to leave, weren't you?
Yes, we were. The note said, you are asked to leave the premises for reasons of Bacchanalian rivalry. Bacchanalian rivalry.
That's not
that's a legal
used,
term.
Yes,
No.
not used very often anymore. Which gentleman was it that was the one in question here?
It's the guy with the T-shirt and the cut-off sleeves.
Of course it is. Yeah, he looks disreputable.
No, he is. And, but a fine gentleman who played pro ball too, played pro football. But he was on notice that girl was unhappy with him, and I was scared to death.
A woman scorned, Dr. Burrus.
No,
it's scary.
They can hurt you.
Yeah. Next slide, Chris.
Okay,
wow.
there he is. There he is saying goodbye to me on my graduation. We just put that in there, but we haven't made the trip yet. We're getting ready.
We've built up to it. That's a great graduation photo.
Yeah,
You must be proud.
I am.
Okay, Chris, let's see what happens next.
Okay, this was the vehicle that I owned for a period when I was up at Michigan State. It was a 1952 V4 Jaguar touring car, 2 gas tanks. It had all leather inside.
How did you acquire this vehicle?
Just driving down the road, I saw it out in front of a building, $100. I bought this car for $100. And my father said, son, you think you got a pretty good deal here, don't you? And he said, my father used to tell me that some of the most expensive things in the world that you're ever going to own are going to buy, you're either going to get free or inexpensive. No truer words were ever spoken. I spent thousands getting this car fixed up, trying to get it running, and then when I sold it for $100 up in Michigan, because I was hitchhiking in the middle of a snowstorm and a guy picked me up and he said, how come you're hitchhiking in a snowstorm? My car doesn't run, it has a broken axle. Really, what kind? A V4 Jaguar. What? I want to buy it. How much? $100. And he went over, he had fixed the axle and took it away. The greatest $100 I ever spent. What was I cool in that car? Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I was as cool as it comes.
You still are. Chris, please. Oh, that's a beautiful shot.
Okay, yes it is. That's the University of Florida, right? Okay, Jack is going to take the truck up to the University of Florida. You're not allowed to have a vehicle at that time up there. He didn't care. He's going to drive this thing all around the University of Florida, park it wherever he wants. People thought it was some kind of, they didn't know what it was, but they just left it alone because it didn't look like a normal vehicle. And this
it was a milk truck.
And things are going to happen while he's up there.
Go ahead, Chris.
This is where Jack worked at Burger Bob's, and it had a pool table and you could go in there. It's right across the street from campus. I think it's still there in some capacity.
You know, Gainesville, always been a college town. Great, and a great music town as well. A
real Southern college town.
Absolutely, yes. Go ahead, Chris.
This is where Jack lived. This looks like some kind of broken down shanty back from days gone by. You can see Jack's grandfather gave him that car up there. It was like a 1940s vintage something. But one of the guys in this picture is later on going to become pretty famous. He's going to be the head of Burger King and the head of an airlines. And so we did hang around with some reputable people. But this house had no doors, no windows. They lived there, and people would walk through it on their way to campus, not knowing people really lived there. They just thought it was an abandoned house. These are the people that we're dealing with here.
No doors or windows?
No.
So hot in the summer and cold in the winter.
They just, whatever it was. If there was a wild animal, he could just come in and be part of the scene.
Shelter from the storm.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, the truck had a name. It was called the Mother Duck, not the Mother Duck, the Mother Duck. And we had a life preserver because we had to be ready for anything that took place. So we were ready.
No, clearly, a life preserver on a milk truck.
Yeah.
You guys are ready to go.
And by the way, we had a real milk. You used to have these big, like 50-gallon containers. We had one of those in there too, just to stay true to our.
Well, it is a milk truck.
Our vintage truck.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay.
This is not going to end well.
No. Now, one of the visits, I would hitchhike, which we're going to come back to later, back and forth between Michigan State. It's only 2,000 miles away from Miami. In the beginning, your parents, okay, we'll buy you a ticket. Then it's you'll find your way on your own. And one of the ways I found my way back and forth is hitchhiking. We're going to tell you about that when you stick your thumb out and people give you a ride. Do not try this today. Do not try this today.
No.
And one of the times I would stop at a way station that was going to be there in Gainesville with Jack, he said, hey, let's go up to the bike derby. I said, what is the bike derby? You'll see. What they would do is they had these bikes, loaner bikes, gator colors, blue and orange. Go get one. Two of you will ride side by side on the top of a dorm building. The guy that jumps off first on the building, he lost the contest. Wait a minute. What about the guy who won? Does he go off the edge? They didn't when I was there, but this was really scary. So you saw we were dealing with some people that were very unstable.
Yeah, unsound decision-making here.
Completely.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris.
There's the pile of bikes. See, when they talk about when you're in high school and college, that your mind isn't fully developed, particularly the frontal cortex of the brain, the part that has decision making and risk taking is not fully developed. This is living proof that is true. The brains were not fully developed yet.
That picture speaks for itself.
Yes, it does.
It really does.
It was scary.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, the truck had changed colors several times. They would drive this truck around, and on one episode, they're driving it around school. I'm going to tell you the truth. Can I be truthful with you, John?
If you're not, what's the point?
Okay, alcohol was involved. They're driving.
There's a surprise.
They're driving down the road, and they ran into a telephone pole. Okay, everybody bailed out. All the guys, all the girls. I mean, this was a party vehicle. Bailed out, and it has no key, and just left the milk truck sitting there. The campus police are going to come by and say, what is this? And they're going to see it bumped into a telephone pole. They're looking around for some evidence of who owns it, and they find a card of one of the people that was in the car, was in the vehicle, and they're going to go investigate him. They're going to send him over to the school psychologist. He's going to be suspended for 3 weeks, and they want to know what type of insanity would lead somebody to run around in a vehicle like this and wreck it and then run away. Here you're going to see a next picture. You're going to get a chance to see him with the psychiatrist.
Go ahead, Chris.
There he is, being talked to by the psychiatrist about why this happened to you. He was suspended for 3 months. I felt sorry for him, but I'm just glad I wasn't there.
Was he finally cleared and
I mean, mentally
sound?
No, he was always mentally sound as much as you could in college, but this scarred him. This stayed with him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it looks like, I don't think you should probe too deeply into the mind of a college student.
No.
Nothing good's going to come of that.
No.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, and there's what the milk truck looked like. You can see the engine. You barely can't see it, but your lawnmower has a bigger engine than this. And you can see the dent in the front on the bumper where it ran into it. And this is going to be its travel colors, kind of pale yellow with a red racing stripe on the side and a box on the front and a jalousie window in the front. How did the jalousie window get there?
Yeah, curious minds want to know.
Back at this time, they were car inspections. Your car got inspected for emission control. Do your blinkers work? Does your horn work? Do you have glass in the windows that's shatterproof? One of the windows in this thing was totally broken. We would not have passed inspection. So my dad had an old jalousie window, the kind that crank up, like that. And he said, I think we can retrofit this in the front and put stained glass in it, and that way that you guys can afford it. So we have a jalousie window that would flip up in the front, and we did use it.
You know, necessity is the mother of invention, no question. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, now, at this point, I'm living in a fraternity house.
Fraternities, house.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. They're going to tear it down. It looks like this when I'm there. When I leave, a big ball is going to come in and tear it down. I'll get to that later. But it was a beautiful place. This is where I'm living. And it just so happens we're going into finals week. We have it here at Columbus still. This is when your week where you do nothing but finals, studying, no partying, no loud music, do nothing but studying. Guess who's going to arrive on the scene? Jack and I had already spoken about it. Come on up, then we're going to take our trip. But this is finals week. No disturbances, no parties, nothing.
No, really, we have to study.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys in a fraternity house they're looking for any excuse to have a party. Your sister has a birthday and she's 3 years old. Let's have a party. And so Jack became part of the scene, Jack and Billy. And on the way up there, they ran across, going through Tennessee, a snake. People in Michigan don't see snakes. No. So Billy had a trick where he could swing the snake by its tail. It was a harmless snake, round your head, and then put it through his legs and come up with the head. When he pulled up to the fraternity house, he went right up on the lawn, not in the driveway, just parked it on the front of the lawn. People knew about Jack because I had warned him, and they came out, and Billy put on his show, and this is going to be the show.
Go ahead, Chris.
There's Billy with the snake, and at one point, everybody gathered around. Oh, this was a party excuse, and he would take the snake after he flipped it around and put it up to his face like, okay, look what I can do. And one of the fraternity guys tapped him on the back of the head, and the snake latched onto Billy's nose. So Billy is sitting there with a snake, a black snake. I mean, it's not poisonous, but it's got
nonetheless, he's attached to your nose.
He's attached to your nose. So he finally got the snake off. His nose is bleeding. Let's have a party.
Why not, Mr. Snake? Yes, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, there's me on the roof of the fraternity house with an eagle, which we called a hawk, but it was an eagle.
It's very Mount Rushmore-ish in a way.
Yeah.
You know, the clouds, it's majestic.
Yeah. How did I get up on the roof? I climbed up on a ladder.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, no parties. No parties. Jack, Billy, no parties. Okay. The theme of most parties back in this period, although we did have different themes, was the toga party. A toga party, that sounds interesting. All you have to do is go watch the movie Animal House, which a lot of you have never seen. If you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You take a sheet off your bed and you wrap it around you and you start with toga, 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 toga.
Yes,
and then everybody there, male and female, has a white sheet wrapped around them, and you have a party that would rival anything that happened in the demonic and hedonistic Roman Empire.
Absolutely.
We could recreate that. It was sort of history-like, right?
It was Caligula. Yes, yes. Alcohol was a major.
Alcohol was definitely involved in this, and I'm sorry to say.
But yeah, toga.
Toga.
Go ahead, Chris. Oh my.
This, you can see the fraternity guys having a party. We're having a great time. By the way, the Vietnam War is on now.
Yeah.
You remember the Vietnam? You remember it very well. That was one of your premier courses here. If you didn't have that at Columbus, you missed out on part of being Columbus.
Thank you,
Mr. Lynskey over here. If you did not do well in your grades, your draft board is monitoring everything you do.
Yeah.
They see your grades. They're not at the standard they wanted. You're going to Vietnam. No questions asked. We all knew this. Do you think this had any effect on anybody? Absolutely not. The results of all these partying and everything, there are going to be 4 people in that fraternity that are going to flunk out and go to Vietnam. Some are going to come back and continue their school. Some aren't. So this was pretty serious business. But the toga party, was it worth it? I don't know.
Once again, frontal lobe. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
There you can see, we were really into studying. This is really finals week. You can see how serious we are about this.
Yes. And this is an institution of higher learning.
Yes, it is.
My
Yes, it is.
goodness.
Yes. I tried to study. This is
Of
going to
course
be
you did.
the worst semester ever in the history of school of Dr. Burrus. And I tried to be somewhat of a semi-scholar, but this was the worst I ever got. Worst grades I ever got. I'm not going to blame it. I'm responsible for my own deeds, but
Yeah, you're a self-aware man.
This
Yes.
was bad.
Go ahead, Chris. There we are.
Okay, while
What's going on here?
Jack's not supposed to drive the truck around campus. I mean, nobody else, students are supposed to drive. Does that matter to Jack? No. He's driving around campus, driving the truck all over the place, parks it in front of the library. I don't know what he was doing at the library because he certainly wasn't going to go in there and read. And so he went and he came back and it was gone.
Oh, no.
We're supposed to leave on our great adventure next day. The truck is gone. It's been impounded by the campus police and put in a compound, which I happen to know where it was.
I see.
Okay, so we sat around and we said, what are we going to do? I said, okay, there's only one thing. We're going to be a ninja. We're going to ninja attack. We're going to go liberate the truck, and we're going to get out of Dodge. We're getting out of town as fast as we can. But isn't it in a compound that has a gate and everything? Yes, it did. Did that matter to us? No, we're college students. Let's go get the truck.
Oh, boy. Do we want to know the details of this?
Well, here you're going to see it.
Go ahead, Chris.
There we are, ninjas sneaking over the hill, getting ready to go get the truck. We're going to get it. We really did, all dress in black and mask and everything. This was just like out of a James Bond movie, which was just coming out.
Of course. Perfect timing.
Okay, there we are. We're a ninja this.
All right, Chris.
We get to the truck.
What happens next?
We get to the truck.
There we are. Okay.
There's the gate. We ran it out. We ran right through the gate. We crawled over the gate. And Billy crawled over the gate too and got stuck on the barbed wire.
Oh.
He was just sort of there.
Sort of impaled?
Yeah, he was totally impaled. We had to rip him down.
Oh.
And so then we busted out. And
So right through the...
right through the fence, and we didn't stop go and collect $200. We are leaving right now. The trip is ready to begin. Here is the beginning of the milk truck busting out.
Here we go. All right, Chris.
Okay, where are we going to go? First place, we kind of knew we were going to go to Washington, D.C., but we're going to stop someplace along the way. This was an era when there were people called freaks or hippies. Hey, peace out, brother. Hey, end the war in Vietnam. There was a school in Ohio called Oberlin. This was hippie before anybody knew what a hippie was.
Okay.
I mean, you made up your own major, no grades. This is a real classic liberal arts, liberal school. You could do anything you want, be anything you want, nobody cares. Wow.
That's a good place for you guys to stop.
Let's go, because we'd read about this and we knew about it. Let's go to Oberlin. On the way over to Oberlin, we see a guy outside of Oberlin. After we go to Oberlin, we check it out. We see, oh yeah, I mean, these were all hippie, freaky girls. So we were mostly interested in girls. So then we start, let's go out to the expressway. And this is what we run into the expressway.
Go ahead, Chris.
An Oberlin student on his way down the road. He wasn't quite sure where he was going, but we figured, okay, let's stop and just pick this dude up. Okay, so we picked him up. Oh yeah, this is great. Man, yeah, peace out, brother. This is great. Good traveling around in a milk truck. We like it. We were on a turnpike on our way to Pittsburgh. We stopped at a toll booth. When we really stopped before the toll booth, we said, look, we're gonna go through the toll booth here and we need some money. Can you chip in a little bit? No, I'm hitchhiking. I'm not paying anybody anything. We told Billy, get the snake out. By the way, the snake slept in the back of the milk truck. He wasn't in a case. He wasn't in a cage. He wasn't in a bag. He just slept in the back of the milk truck. Okay, I said, Billy, get the snake out. Billy whipped the snake out and said, look, pal, we need some money. Can you help us out? Oh yeah, can I help you out? Can I help you out? He gave us money, and he said, you guys can drop me off right on the other side of the toll gate. He wanted no part of it.
Well, who can blame him?
That was the end of the hippie.
But so, you know, Dr. Burrus, I think what a lot of people may not grasp is the era where, you know, out on the open road, the destination doesn't really matter. It's the journey. It's the had you read Jack Kerouac? Had you read On the Road?
Jack was a history major. I was a history major. We knew about Billy. We don't know what Billy was.
Yeah.
But we had knew about Jack Kerouac. And we also, by the way, the same books you're reading in high school, you know, Of Mice and Men, Catcher in the Rye. We had to read these. So we knew about Jack Kerouac. And all the same things. That's why when I go to these English classes and I see him reading the same things, same classics that you and I read.
Well, some things are timeless.
There are.
And so you're outliving the Kerouac lifestyle here.
But we're doing it. We're living the dream.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, we're on our way to Pittsburgh. We're going to visit schools. Are we going to visit that guy whose girlfriend ran over all his clothes, who lived in this area north Pittsburgh? Mr. Pugh will know about this. This is a wild renegade place. We're going to go visit some schools. Well, how about University of Pittsburgh? That's good. We went and visited, and sometimes when we would go to these schools, we're going to walk in and pretend like we're students. We're going to go into the lunchroom.
Well, you were students, just not at that school.
That's correct. Okay. We'll get free lunches, and if we go to a dorm and there happen to be an open room, we will take a shower. Wow, man, you were taking liberties. Yes, we were.
Yes, you were.
Okay, we're also going to go visit.
Go ahead, Chris.
Carnegie Mellon.
No, that's a fine institution.
We're going high end. We're going high end here. We're going to Carnegie Mellon. You could tell the different class of students that would go to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. Nothing against the people in Pittsburgh, but Carnegie Mellon, this is like a step up. We're saying, wow, these guys are all pretty smart. We didn't have computers back then. They're walking around with slide rulers, and this is something which you computed. Like today, a computer,
we got to the moon.
A slide rule.
It's amazing.
And all these brainiac-looking people. So we were impressed. We sort of tried to blend in, but we weren't pulling it off.
No, you were going to stand out. Yeah. There's no question.
Yay. Here's another university we're going to go see.
Go ahead, Chris.
Duquesne. This is a nice one. And so we went over there, and this was more of a laid-back school, a little smaller, and we went over to visit there. By the way, every city has their own particular brew. Now, Mr. Pugh is quite knowledgeable on this. The particular type of beer that they had in Pittsburgh it's still made today. It's called Iron City.
Yes.
This stuff is so raunchy and so potent that if you don't buy it in the shelf in a week, it eats its way out of the can. It just rots through the can. And a lot of people become addicted to it. I think Mr. Pugh is one of them.
He's a connoisseur, yes.
I myself like drinking this, but it was with some concern that it may have some long-lasting effect on me. Remember that if you ever go around Pittsburgh, it's only made in Pittsburgh. Iron City beer.
Do you remember Regal beer that was brewed down here?
That was our local beer.
From the Miami River? Oh, yes.
Miami River, and Regal Beer was the same equivalent, but nothing like this Iron City.
No, Iron City's in a
Where
classic
Regal
zone.
Brewery was located today is a women's prison right off the 836.
It's fitting.
Yes, I thought
It's
so.
fitting. You know what, Dr. Burrus? I think that now that we're on the road and the adventure has begun, that this is a good place to stop for part one. We're looking forward to part two because now I'm intrigued. I think everybody's intrigued. The only thing we want to know is what's going to happen next.
Well, we're going to go on our way to Washington, D.C. We're going to go visit some other schools. One of them is kind of interesting. It'll be on our next journey in Maryland, in the mountains of Maryland, in a town called Cumberland, Maryland. Back then it was called Frostburg State Teachers College.
Oh boy!
No, I knew about Frostburg State Teachers College, so naturally we had to go visit it.
Of course you did.
And our way to Washington, D.C. By the way, our friend Clyde, who you saw a picture of, he's going to be in Washington, and from Washington we'll decide to go down to North Carolina. Then we'll come back around through Washington, D.C. Then we'll head up through New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and through Canada. It's a journey. Things are going to happen.
You're going to go international. This is amazing. You're going to meet famous people,
Yes,
Columbus people along the way.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. Gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed part one of the milk truck story. I hope you're as intrigued as I am what's going to happen next. And this is a trip down memory lane. If you're a man of a certain age, this takes you back to Florida history. If you're a person of a younger age, this is your first hearing of the story. Either way, this is wonderful. Dr. Burrus, thank you so much. I can't wait for part two. You guys in CCNN, Chris, thank you so much. All you guys on the staff. So until next time, when we're going to conclude the epic milk truck story, Adelante Explore Nation, and take it easy. Thank you, Dr. Burrus.
Peace out, my brothers.